make it look like it's magic.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 amazing soundtracks to terrible movies. For this list, we're looking at those movies that compiled an impressive playlist for their soundtracks, but left quite a bit to be desired in the storytelling department. While these soundtracks are indeed great, they barely provide enough of a reprieve from the movies themselves. What's your favorite bad movie with a great soundtrack? Let us know in the comments down below. Number 10. The Twilight Saga. Is there a franchise more fun to hate on than Twilight?
How long have you been 17?
A while.
Between the stilted performances, cringe-worthy romance, and oddly characterized vampires, it just seems like this saga was adapted for the sole purpose of earning unintentional laughs. Of course, one thing we certainly cannot scoff at is the incredible collection of music scattered across the series' 5 entries. The first alone is a goldmine of 2000s pop punk and alternative rock from the likes of Paramore and Muse. As the franchise evolved into its 2-part finale, it would go on to inspire successful hit singles like Bruno Mars's It Will Rain and Christina Perri's 1,000 Years. Razzies be damned. That's gotta be worth something, right?
I have died every day waiting for you.
Number 9. Blues Brothers 2000. Following up a film like The Blues Brothers only raises the question of how the sequel was made without the late John Belushi. Indeed, the absence of Jake Blues' improvisations and impressive vocals is felt throughout his brother Elwood's next mission. It may have been preferable for Blues Brothers 2000 to be nothing more than one musical number and celebrity cameo after another, especially considering how lively they all are.
When all at once a mighty herd of red-eyed cows he saw.
True to its predecessor's spirit, the story doesn't entirely waste its talent. How can you top Aretha Franklin performing Respect in the middle of a car dealership?
To the ESPECT, and I wanna be sunny.
Should we even mention the Louisiana Gator Boys, maybe the greatest supergroup to never exist? Heck, it even throws a little Caribbean music into the mix, despite Elwood's wishes. Number 8. Dark Phoenix. You'd think Fox understood the risk of giving this classic storyline a second chance after the misfire that was X-Men: The Last Stand. Oh, how naive we all were. Dark Phoenix accomplished the impossible. It not only screwed up Jean Grey's turn to the dark side again, it also effectively put the future of the X-Men franchise in jeopardy.
But nobody cares anymore.
Nevertheless, it's fair to say director Simon Kinberg's heart was in the right place, at least if the soundtrack is anything to go by. From a sonic standpoint, Dark Phoenix features at least a few memorable moments, with a little help from Marvin Gaye, Sweet, and Captain DeFera. Plus, who could forget that brief cameo from Dazzler doing what she does best?
Put your hands on me.
Number 7. Judgment Night. How does a crime thriller this forgettable inspire such an epic rap rock soundtrack? We're not exactly sure. But if anyone ever brings up Judgment Night in conversation, they're likely referring to the album and not the movie itself. The story, in which a group of suburban men is on the run from a gang of drug dealers, has very little going for it. But thankfully, the soundtrack, featuring a swarm of original songs, carries it the entire way. Each track joins together a rock band with a rap act, and the result was a compilation that spawned 4 singles and soared through the Billboard 200. Who could have guessed that Teenage Fan Club and De La Soul would be a recipe for gold? Number 6. Elizabethtown. Between Jerry Maguire and Almost Famous, it's difficult to take Cameron Crowe's impeccable taste in music away from him. In fact, music is such a crucial aspect of this 2005 dramedy that the soundtrack would eventually be expanded into not 1 but 2 volumes. Unlike Crowe's previous work, however, Elizabethtown leaves very little for viewers to ponder over when the likes of Tom Petty and Elton John fall silent. having a potentially powerful premise about a depressed man who returns to his hometown after his father's death. It's a largely dull and emotionally hollow experience. And that's to say nothing of just how strange Orlando Bloom's attempt at an American accent is. You had us at goodbye.
How's that going?
Sort of a wait and see.
Number 5. Batman Forever. A lot went wrong with this third installment of the Batman film series on its way to the big screen. The comical tone, the forced performances, the corny dialogue. There's really no end to the criticism surrounding Batman Forever and its universally derided follow-up. For our troubles, however, director Joel Schumacher gave us a soundtrack worthy of Gotham City's dystopian nightlife.
There used to be a graying tower alone on the sea.
While the music has little to do with Batman's standoff against the Riddler and Two-Face, the blend of alternative rock, pop punk, R&B, and hip-hop is undeniably impressive. U2's Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me was a great lead single, but it was Seal's soulful vocals on Kiss from a Rose that rose out of the darkness like a bat signal. Number 4. Cocktail. Tom Cruise was perhaps the breakout star of the 1980s, but that's not to say each of his films is worth celebrating. 1988's Cocktail is generally regarded as one of the worst films of the decade, and it's not hard to see why. It's a saccharine story rife with stale performances and uninteresting characters. That being said, even if Cruise's bartending skills don't impress, the vibes evoked by Cocktail's soundtrack fit the film like a glove.
Don't worry. Be happy.
On the one hand, the hard rock stylings of Robert Palmer are the perfect choice for Brian Flanagan's barkeeping in New York. On the other, the Beach Boys make for fitting accompaniment after Brian relocates to Jamaica. Kinda makes you wonder how the movie itself couldn't keep up, huh?
Bermuda, Bahama, come on, pretty mama.
Number 3. Purple Rain. This pick may be a little divisive, but it's hard to deny that this semi-autobiographical musical was little more than an attempt by leading man Prince to rocket himself into the stratosphere.
I never meant to call you when you sorrow.
To be fair, Purple Rain absolutely succeeded in that regard, but decades later, its success has been almost completely defined by its soundtrack. The film's overall plot leaves something to be desired, but its concert sequences feature some of Prince's finest songs to date.
The lights went out, and Nikki started to grind.
The legendary album that accompanied the film was so mesmerizing that it spawned 5 singles, including When Doves Cry, Let's Go Crazy, and the climactic title track. Fully cementing the high priest of pop as one of the signature artists of his generation, it became one of the biggest albums of the 80s, earning him a pair of Grammys and an Oscar. Number 2. Blue Hawaii. When it came to his music career, Elvis Presley was arguably the quintessential artist of the 20th century.
No more do I see the starlight caress your hair.
As for his film career, well, that's a different story. While the King had a bona fide classic in Jailhouse Rock, he also had blemishes like Blue Hawaii. In addition to wasting the great Angela Lansbury, the advertisement-esque story provides little room for Elvis to flex his acting chops. What it does provide, however, is a standout soundtrack that completely transcends the film itself.
See the sweet Hawaiian rose.
The Grammy-nominated album gave us hip-swinging tracks like Beach Boy Blues and Rockahula Baby, but it was the lead single, Can't Help Falling in Love, that became a defining hit not just for Elvis's career, but pop music as a whole.
Some things are meant to be.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The 50 Shades franchise. It would be bold for anyone to say they actually enjoy this trilogy, but few can deny how successful it was commercially.
You're energetic this morning.
You hungry?
While it's tough to explain how each film turned a profit, it's possible that what people actually embraced were their vibrant soundtracks. The first film in particular is an accomplishment in music compilation. The soundtrack offers some surprisingly fresh takes on old classics, like Annie Lennox's cover of I Put a Spell on You.
I put a spell on you.
But it also has memorable original songs, such as Ellie Goulding's Love Me Like You Do and The Weeknd's Oscar-nominated track Earned It. You certainly won't be swooning for the movies themselves, but it's hard not to fall crazy in love with such dazzling music. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.